What's going on, guys? It's Ken Flash here, and welcome back to another video. This is gonna be a top 5 list of my top 5 best movies of 2017. I didn't really see all of the big releases this year in 2017, or really any of the smaller releases, so this is just gonna be a list recapping what I saw, basically. I think I saw 7 movies this year, and this list is gonna be comprised of those, me ranking them from number 5 being the worst and number 1 being the best. So, without further ado, we're going to get right into number 5, and number 5 is actually going to be Transformers: The Last Knight. Now, I went into this movie wanting to like it because I have loved Transformers movies, my favorite being Dark of the Moon, and it was an improvement over Age of Extinction. They did learn from some of their mistakes, but they made so many other mistakes. Like, some of the CGI was just off. The whole thing with Nemesis Prime and Optimus Prime, they had a cool concept in Optimus Prime turning evil, and then they just throw it away within seconds, and it was like a cheap thing where Bumblebee says something to him and he just snaps out of it. It was way too fast, happened way too easy, and he should have been evil for much, much longer. And the other thing being, there was so many plot holes throughout the movie, such as Bumblebee's voice box being present in the end of the movie when he didn't have it when they took it out at the start of the movie. But I will say, the one thing that this movie did do right was the flashback scenes to World War II and the Merlin Age, which I'm not the Dark Ages, I'm just going to call it. If the entire movie was set in those times, it would definitely be a lot better movie. Like, I would be so interested to see a Transformers movie set in like World War II and like seeing how the Autobots help the Resistance fight against the Nazis. That would be a cool movie. But this movie just didn't do it for me, and that's why it comes in at number 5. Now, the next two movies can be easily interchanged between each other because I enjoyed certain aspects of both, but both of them had their flaws. Coming in at number 4 is Justice League. Now, I was so hyped up for Justice League. I really wanted to like this movie, and I did. I had fun with the movie, but there are some really big flaws that are really obvious in the movie, and such as, like, I think there's a whole like half hour or 45 minutes cut out of the movie just so that Warner Brothers could get more money. Because if you guys weren't aware, if you have a 2-hour movie, you can get more booking spaces in a movie theater than if you have, say, a 2.5-hour movie. So they cut out like most, like, say, I'd say at least a third of the movie was probably cut out so that they can make more money. So there's like scenes which didn't make much sense in the final cut of the film. So, for example, I think it's in the underground, under the Gotham Harbor scene where they were fighting Steppenwolf for the first time. There was a whole scene where like they were in danger, and then it just cuts, and all of them are fine, all of them are safe, and it just ruins the suspense they were trying to build up there. You can see what they were trying to do. And another thing was, you can tell the shots that were shot by Zack Snyder, and then the shots that were shot by Joss Whedon, and the whole scenes that were written by Joss Whedon. Because I think, other than The Flash, which I think he had comedy all the way through, because that's just who he is as a character, but throughout, like, say, Batman making a joke. So you had the whole scene which was cool with Superman saying to Batman, "Tell me, do you bleed?" That was clearly a scene shot by Zack Snyder. And then the following scene after that, you could tell was probably reshot by Joss Whedon, where Batman makes the joke, "Yep, something is definitely bleeding." And I think that just completely ruins everything they were trying to do with that scene. And there were scenes of Aquaman when he was going back into the water that were reshot for everything. I think even another problem that a lot of people had with the way the Amazonians were dressed in this movie compared to Wonder Woman, because they were wearing a lot less clothing than they were in Wonder Woman. Like, they were wearing fully armored, and it made more sense than wearing more armored clothing in Wonder Woman. And now they're just wearing like basically nothing in this movie, and it just didn't make much sense consistently, because why would they sort of gradually have less clothing over time? That makes no sense to me. But overall, I did enjoy this movie. Highlights were probably The Flash and Aquaman in this movie. Like, Batman was okay, but he didn't really do much. He was just there for technical support. Superman was okay. Henry Cavill was definitely the best Superman. Gal Gadot, amazing as usual, as Wonder Woman. And then Ray Fisher could have had some more scenes as Cyborg and would have been a better character if they had all of his scenes in the movie. But anyway, Justice League comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3, we actually have a movie that I wasn't expecting to put on this list, but I actually really enjoyed this film. It came out in May, I believe, and that was Alien Covenant. Now, the Alien franchise hasn't really had the best track record as of recently, with Alien 3 and Alien 4 just being completely terrible movies, and then just the horrible Alien vs. Predator movies, which just made no sense in terms of storyline or lore. But we had Prometheus, which came out in 2014, I believe, and this, Alien Covenant, is actually a sequel to Prometheus, but a prequel to the first Alien. But I have a feeling they just called it Alien to make more money, because, like, you have brand awareness with Alien, whereas Prometheus you don't really. So, with that, I'm gonna say I did enjoy Alien Covenant. Like, there were some holes again, like how the Xenomorphs end up getting to the planet, because that ship, the Covenant, I don't think was going to the original planet that the Xenomorphs were actually found on, so that does raise some plot holes. But I love the whole new introductions of how, like, the Xenomorphs can come about. So, like, how he inhaled some of the spores from the planet and ended up turning into a chest. Actually, I'm not sure if it wasn't a chest burster. No, it ended up actually coming out of his throat. Like, he ended up sicking up the alien, and it forced his way out through his throat, which was gory, and it was quite good to see. And, like, the whole interactions between Walter and David were really cool. Like, getting to see how, I think it was David was like a broken AI from Prometheus, and he has some completely different views on the Xenomorphs and on humans than David does. Was it David? No, when Walter does. So, Walter obviously is a new upgraded AI. He has more awareness, he's more like humans, whereas David is less like that, and he is more programmed to be an AI himself. But over time, his AI slowly went crazy and ended up creating the Xenomorphs. And as we see in the movie, they are his quote-unquote creation, and that was really cool to see how he created his Xenomorphs. But I will say, it is anybody who puts their head over a pod like that deserves to die. You know, this doesn't look right, so you stay away from it. But anyway, Alien Covenant comes in at our number 3 spot. In our number 2 spot, we actually have the first successful DC film on our list, and that is actually Wonder Woman. Now, you could say, in a sense, Batman vs. Superman was a success, but Wonder Woman was both a financial and critical success, and you can clearly see why in the movie. There are so many good scenes in this movie, so many stand-up performances from Chris Pine, Gal Gadot, and all of the Amazonian cast, whose names I'm struggling to remember right now, but there's so much in this movie to enjoy, such as the No Man's Land scene was such a powerful scene, and they could have easily gone the route of empowering females but they didn't. They chose to empower both genders in this scene by having Wonder Woman say no, but it's what I'm gonna do, rather than having her say no, but I'm no man, is what they could have gone down, but they didn't. Just seeing how Diana learning about the world, because she's obviously been on the island all of her life, just learning about the real world and how it works was really interesting to see, and the comedy that came from that was amazing. I loved that. And then the whole story with Ares and Diana, and how we thought all the way through, we thought that the German general, whose again name I can't remember, was actually Ares, and she ends up killing him at the close to the end of the movie, and we find out that he wasn't actually Ares. He was just inhaling something that gave off the thing of like he was Ares, but he wasn't. However, at the end we do get the reveal that the person who actually was helping them get to Germany, or where France, I think it was France in the first place, was actually Ares. And obviously the one downfall of the movie was right at the end with the big superhero mindless action set piece. That was the one downfall of the movie. Otherwise, this movie, I think, is a masterpiece, and it just, like, exemplifies Wonder Woman as a character and shows the audience what she is, who she is, and what she's actually about. And I think it's one of the best superhero origin stories we've had since the start of, since I think the first superhero movie was Spider-Man, and this is definitely the best superhero origin story since Spider-Man. I love this movie so much. There are so many things I can talk about good about this movie. Obviously, like I said, Gal Gadot is always good as Wonder Woman, even in Justice League. But it was just the first hopeful and bright DC movie that we had, and it was really nice to see. Anyway, Wonder Woman comes in at our number 2 slot. Into our number 1 slot, there will be major spoilers. Well, not really major spoilers, but there are spoilers for this number 1 slot movie. So as soon as you see what the movie is, if you want to click off the video, feel free to. That is completely fine, because this is a recent release and I don't think many people have got a chance to see it yet. So like I said, spoiler warning, if you guys want to click away now, or when you've seen the number 1 slot, you can. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Anyway, finally, coming in at our number 1 slot, we have Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, I love everything about this movie. I think, again, it's a masterpiece. The top 2 slots, I think, are definitely masterpieces of film. I love everything about Star Wars The Last Jedi, from the characters, the plot, the story, like, the overall, like, the different subplots it has going on in the movie, the setting, both sides, the Resistance and the First Order, they're both amazing, and definitely standout performances from Daisy Ridley as Rey and Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, even though it was a different Luke Skywalker than we've seen in other movies, and that kind of did bring the movie down a little bit. And definitely Princess Leia was amazing in this movie. Kylo Ren, Adam Driver, I think it was, because he plays Kylo Ren. Again, amazing. I love Kylo Ren so much. He is such a great villain. Even though we saw signs in this movie where he could actually be a good version of him, because we had the flashbacks of Luke where he was training him, and then we had like the scene where they were fighting the guards in Snoke's throne room, which could have then led to what's it called? Him becoming good, which was I love to see. Anyway, I'm not going to get into too many spoilers for this film, but overall, I do love Star Wars The Last Jedi, and I loved all of the performances, the storyline with Finn, and the new characters I introduced with Rose, and so much more. I'm trying not to get into too much spoilers with this film just because it's a recent release, but yeah, Star Wars The Last Jedi comes in at our number 1 slot. Anyway, that was our top 5 for the movies released in 2017. Obviously, you guys will have different lists, and this list is subjective in my opinion. So if you guys want to post your lists in the comment section below, please do that. I'd love to see what your top 5 favorite movies are this year. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button, as you know your support is very much appreciated. And subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.